Hey everyone, welcome back. Happy Monday again to you all. It's a holiday, which is great. I actually did not realize that until Thursday. I don't really keep track of calendars very well, and that's my own fault. But a surprise 3-day weekend is always welcome. So, to get into where we're reading today, pardon me. Also, you notice I'm wearing a tank top even though it's winter. But because we're in California, it's decided that it's going to be like 80 plus degrees every day this weekend. So here we are, wearing my warm weather clothes. So in the reading that we're doing, still in the book of Ezra, of course. So what we've seen so far is the Israelites are basically told to go back to their land. They're given supplies. We spent a couple of chapters with them just worshiping and kind of celebrating that they're now back and starting to rebuild the temple specifically, and just kind of that place where they can really have a pure worship with God. So the end of the last chapter, they laid down the first kind of cornerstone and foundation area, and now we're into chapter 4. So I'll read the first 3 verses. Yeah. Out of an actual Bible this time. I'm not reading off of my computer, so this is a temporary step up. I'm not sure if I'll continue doing it because of just the convenience, but I digress. So chapter 4, verse 1 through 3. When the enemies of Judah and Benjamin heard that the exiles were building a temple for the Lord, the God of Israel, they came to Zerubbabel, and to the heads of the families and said, "Let us help you build, because, like you, we seek your God, and have been sacrificing to him since the time of Esarhaddon, king of Assyria, who brought us here." But Zerubbabel, Jeshua, and the rest of the heads of the family of Israel answered, "You have no part with us in building the temple to our God. We alone will build it for the Lord, the God of Israel, as King Cyrus, the king of Persia, commanded us." So, what's happening here? Basically, they've started building. The people that lived in the land that they have now been brought back into are kind of like, hey, what are they doing? And kind of present themselves as, hey, we came into this land, we learned about your God, we're samesies. Let's help each other. But some important notes in this version of the Bible, the title section says opposition to the rebuilding. And also in verse 1, it's important to note that it's the enemies of Judah and Benjamin heard about this. So we're already told from the start, these are not allies or friends or anything. I think the enemies word is very clear on that. And other kind of research I did is these are kind of like early Samaritans. It's not like confirmed, but there's only so much confirmation anyone can really have. So basically, when they say that we've been worshiping your God, it's more that they're more in kind of the polytheistic mindset of having many gods. So when they say they've been worshiping Israel's God, that's kind of along with everything else. So it's kind of like already a mishmash, bad version of what worship to God would be. Very twisted by the world, almost. And that's kind of the point I want to make over these 3 verses, is when God has called you to do things, and just to be living your life, be weary of kind of the world trying to get in and kind of lead you astray slowly. It always can start with something small, like, oh, this seems kind of like tangent to what I've been reading in the Bible, what God has told me, but just be wary of the world trying to change you into something that God doesn't want you to be. So like in this case, they come in and they want to help build. The Israelites have come in, they have resources, but they have limited resources. They have limited time, limited people. So on the surface level, oh, this sounds like a great idea. You have more hands to help, we can build this faster. But then it may be built in a way that is not what God wanted, because you have all these people that are kind of the world helping with it. And then once it's built, they helped build it, they now have a claim to it. So there's kind of like just the slow changing of God's intentions because of letting the world in and letting the world kind of dictate and drive us in a direction different than God. I know there's one kind of analogy. I was about to say metaphor, but it's not a metaphor. Uh, when you think about like planes and ships, they have compasses and computers and everything to get exact kind of angles and directions of where to go. If you were to, per se, on a ship or a plane, start in like New York and head towards London, there's a direct path you can take. But if you were to be off by even like half a degree on a compass, if you can imagine, 360 angle is what is 90. So if you're off by half of 1 degree, you may, like on a quick glance, not even notice the difference. But as you're traveling, by the time you would have supposedly reached London, you're probably hundreds of miles off and nowhere close. If you look at how the triangle would work out. So just that's an important thing to remember when we're following God. God's path is straight and direct. And when we focus on Him and let Him guide our path, we're always on that. But as we let in the world and the other influences that are actually going to change us, even if we feel like this is something small, I can use this for God, but you're letting it take a little bit too much of the steering wheel, you can end up very far off path. So, before I continue rambling too much, just focus on God, focus on what He has for you, and as you're living in the world and doing things in the world, don't ignore everything, but make sure that God is your focus, and everything, every decision you have, you bring before God, and He will guide you the right path. So, have a good week, guys. Good talking to you. Okay. It's going to be weird until I stop this video.